I built up this absolute piece of shit of a full suspension mountain bike frame with my equally kind of bad suite of leftover mountain bike parts, wrote it a little bit, and then gave it a bit more of a better selection of parts treatment to end up with still a pretty junky mismatch of parts full suspension mountain bike. And I did all this because I like tinkering with bikes, I like putting them together, but the mountain bike industry refuses to offer a affordable sub $1,500, sub $1,000 full suspension mountain bike frame, which understandable enough. If I was a business and people kept buying the things that are more expensive and I didn't feel like I had to make a more affordable option, I also wouldn't. Business. But why I think it's a good idea to offer just a everyman's simple full suspension frame on offer for lots of people to be able to purchase is because I actually don't think there's a huge difference between the toppiest level of bikes and the lowest level. Honestly, I don't think there's that much of a difference between the years of bikes either. For the average rider like myself, I think you can probably eke out the same amount of performance out of any geometry, any year, any suspensioned bike that there really is. And that is why I'm gonna take this and pit it against this, a 2023 Polygon Siskiyou T7E electric mountain bike. And just for fun, because I think it proves a point, my $699 Poseidon Norton that is slightly upgraded over stock with a fork, tires, and brakes and crankset. That's right, I'm bringing 3 bikes, which I can do now because we have this 2024 Ford Maverick with the tailgate pad. I could bring up to 5 bikes. And I think what I'm gonna do is just start with the e-bike. And actually, because the Maverick has an AC adapter plug in the back, and I forgot to charge this after the last time I rode here on it. I did like 3 hours of charging in the garage before leaving, and then topped it up for the hour-and-a-half drive here. I sort of thought the plug in the bed was a little bit gimmicky, but first mountain bike trip with it, I'm literally already using. So my plan is do a couple little warm-up laps on the e-bike and then go for a bit of a moderate, like somewhat like pushing it effort down Kitchen Party, a trail here that's like, it's fast, it's flowy, and then the bottom section gets a little bit more fast techy, and I think that would be a good spot to compare the e-bike, the hardtail, and the piece of shit felt. I'm gonna do it on this first because it's an e-bike, my heart rate's not gonna spike climbing, it's like, I'm gonna be pretty fresh, and then I'll be able to jump onto the felt, and I'll be at probably at the peak spot for warmed upness, and then I'll go for the hardtail. Secretly, I want the hardtail to absolutely destroy the felt, but I suspect all of these bikes, time-wise, are just gonna kind of end up like about the same. Should have just put these on before I got on the bike, but here we are. So my buddies Jeff and Arlo were riding the trail at the same time as my warm-up, so I got to meet up with them.
How dare you?
Ask Arlo how the dirt jumper was treating him. How's the dirt jumper, Arlo?
Good, fun.
Got a few fun runs in chasing Arlo down the hill. Oh no! Whoa! Big cutty! Oh! You didn't mean to do that? Got Arlo on the e-bike now. He was struggling, kept getting off his, walking. And after a few climbs on a kid's bike with the seat too low, I felt like I was probably warm enough now to get the effort in on the e-bike down Kitchen Party. Okay, we've got our control. We're taking the e-bike down Kitchen Party. Not at 100%. I'm gonna go 85, 90. Not that it has anything to do with what we're doing here, the comparison we're trying to make between these bikes, but it's crazy how different this trail looks with all the growth coming in versus the opening weekend video. There's just so much more green, and it kind of makes it look like you're going a lot faster, though this is probably my very, very normal speed. I really like that trail. Very fun. Choo-choo. Jeff and Arlo were going to be leaving after this next run, so I wanted to make sure they got to go see the new trail here called Paradigm. There's just some features up on Paradigm that I know they've been seeing on social media, and I kind of wanted to just give them a little tour of what it was. now the felt. All right. Okay, bye guys. So for as much as I kind of despise this thing for its looks, the way it feels, because it is clapped out even with this shock on it, after just a little bit of riding, the clapped outness, like the clunking, has reared its head again. And just the fact that it has completely just every of the wrong part on it. 26-inch wheel size frame, 29er fork, 29er front wheel, 650B boost spacing hub shoved into his standard spacing frame. I actually, I kind of already know that all the times down Kitchen Party are probably gonna come out being pretty similar. And I'm honestly gonna have probably just as much fun on each of the bikes. So that's my expectation. It's an educated expectation, but that's what I think is probably going to happen.
Honestly, the most notable difference between the felt and the Polygon on the climb up, not taking into account that the Polygon has a motor, is just the crazy difference between the reach of the two bikes. The felt is just way, way shorter, and you can absolutely feel that while climbing.
See how the suspension is. Oh, it's bouncy. So far, it is worse, but not by that much.
Once I was a little more acclimatized to this geometry, a little bit more comfortable on the bike, honestly, at speed, I don't know that I could tell you that much of a difference between the way the two feel. Which sort of makes sense. I've always maintained that you'll just get used to whatever it is that you're riding anyway, so this just sort of confirms that for me, just being able to ride them one after the other.
The seat height is terrifying. This bike is really light though, say that, in comparison. Okay, hardtail. Hardtail time, in the rain. All right, it's raining a little bit, but I got faith. I got faith in my little hardtail.
Now, jumping to the hardtail was kind of interesting because I don't know that I fully realized just how much I rely on rear suspension when I do have it. But when you spend the whole day riding a full suspension bike and jump onto a hardtail, you really feel it through your legs because you are not making great hardtail line choices. But it was really fun. It was fun to just blow through everything and let the back end of the bike buck and be told what all your mistakes were and just try and hold on.
All right, conclusion time. I'm gonna try not to waste too much of your time here. According to my Garmin watch, brought over to Strava, segment timings, the Polygon Siskiyou T7E with the motor on in trail mode during the descent, might I add, completed Kitchen Party in a time of 2 minutes and 11 seconds. And for the record, maybe it matters, my fastest ever recorded time down Kitchen Party is 2 minutes and 4 seconds. So pretty close, but added effort from a motor. The POS felt with, admittedly, and I only realized literally a couple seconds ago when I checked it, the lockout on the rear shock. So that explains the bounciness of the suspension. Completed Kitchen Party in a time of 2 minutes and 20 seconds with no motor. 9-second difference between a cluster of incompatible parts and a complete e-bike. My boy, the hardtail Norton, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So the felt with the rear shock locked out and the Poseidon Norton, both hitting the same time. The Polygon Siskiyou T7E, 9-second advantage in trail mode, adding an extra 250 watts everywhere that I pedaled. So obviously not a great comparison, but that was kind of the point. Simply put, I had just as much fun on this cobbled together mess that I absolutely hate the look of, as I did on that complete Polygon e-bike. It's just plain and simple. That happened. But there is an important fact of bike ownership that I don't think you can overlook, and that is, unfortunately, the vain part of bicycle ownership. I hate the way this bike looks. I get no excitement out of looking at this. I think it's ugly. It doesn't get me excited to ride at all. It actually took me a long time to even go finish this video because I didn't want to grab this thing. I had better options around. So it can't stay together. I'm not going to go any further with this because I don't want to. Not to mention, as promised in the last episode of building this piece of shit to expose the mountain bike industry, if you guys liked it enough, I would actually get a status because they are a decent price. So this is the new series. The worst specialized status build you will ever see on YouTube. Subscribe.